I spent nearly 2 decades subjecting myself to diets. Potions, pills, shakes, points, plans, bars, you name it, I've done it. And I was a serial offender. Like a lot of girls, I started this unhealthy dieting regime in my teenage years. Now, if you could see me back then, you'd probably agree that the 90s was highly unfashionable and all I actually needed was a stylist. But the pressure that you face as a young woman is great, I understand. And we think that dieting is the answer. I'm here to tell you today that it is not. I also suffered with very uncomfortable tummy aches, migraines, and bloating my entire life. And I thought that this was completely normal. I didn't know a different way. It had never occurred to me that it could be to do with the types of foods that I was eating. My idea of healthy food was any product that promised to make me thinner. I actually believed I was eating healthy food because it was low carb, low calorie, or low GI. Here in my bag, I have some examples. This product, for example, has promised us for years that we will fit into our jeans if we only eat it for 2 weeks. This product here is something that is full of chemicals, and you can't even understand half of the ingredients on the list. This product is an example of something that's low fat, but it's high in sugar. Food is often so complicated, and it most certainly was for me. I was on a diet roller coaster, and I just didn't know how to get off. Then, in 2012, I went to Thailand, and for 3 weeks, I ate Thai food. And if any of you have been to Thailand, you will understand that the food over there is really fresh. It's made with vegetables, fruit, meat, seafood, and a bit of rice. For 3 weeks, I felt amazing. I was sleeping like a log, my skin was glowing, I had 0 tummy aches, and I just felt incredible. Then I returned home and I started eating my usual Western diet. Within a very short time, I was crampy, tired, anxious, about my weight again, and I had felt bad as I always did. Now that I had experienced the alternative of how good I could feel, I realised it must be something to do with the food. One day, I was at my office, and I just had that urge that you just have to go, which was a very normal thing for me. I went to the bathroom and sat on the toilet for so long that the automatic light went out. And I was sitting in there, in pain, in the dark, on my own, thinking, this is ridiculous. I know what I'm doing. I know that this is the food I'm eating, and I need to do something about this. So that day, I decided, no more diets, no more processed food, and no more labels. I was just going to eat real food. And I took what I called my real food pledge. And I haven't looked back. I started an online blog, and at first the blog was just to keep myself on track. I never actually expected that anyone would read it. I've always loved to cook, and I've always loved to create recipes from scratch. In fact, one of the first recipes I remember creating, I was about 11 years old, and I made some biscuits at home. They were chocolate biscuits. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but this was probably my creative flair taking over. I went down to the garden, I collected a cup of worms, washed them off, diced them up, and popped them into the mixture. Little did my family know until halfway through eating the cookies that they were full of worms. That's totally disgusting. So girls, don't even think about doing that at home. But as a result of me enjoying being in the kitchen and creating recipes, I started to share recipes on my blog. And then before I knew it, I had thousands of people following my journey online and downloading my recipes on Facebook, Instagram, and my blog. And then I started to receive lots of questions. How do you live your real food lifestyle? What do you feed your kids in their lunchboxes? All these types of things. And I realised that I wasn't the only person that was completely confused about what to eat. So I wrote a book called Real Food Pledge, where I share more of my journey, tips about giving up processed food, and practical everyday recipes that everyone can make. And I'm a busy mum of 3. I run a law practice, so I need my healthy food to be easy. So when I took my Real Food Pledge, I started to research more about why the processed food I'd been eating had made me feel so terrible. And I started to learn that the processed food that we eat, even though the packet tells us it's healthy, is full of sugars, chemicals, and industrialised fats that are harmful to us. Previously, when reading labels, all I'd cared about was how many calories something had in it. I learned that it was the gluten in genetically modified food that was causing me all the gut problems, and that this genetically modified wheat has not been sufficiently tested on humans, and that it causes many people problems. And gluten is in so much of our processed food. I became aware that the processed food that we buy contains scientifically formulated additives that keep us craving and therefore buying more. I discovered that there are 56 names for sugar, 56. And then it became really obvious to me that there are a lot of tricky ways that food companies use to label food. Like this example. This is a product which you would think on the outside looks pretty healthy. And the first ingredient in the list on this product is almonds. So we think almonds, it's a healthy product, right? Well, in here, as you read down the ingredient list, there are 3 different types of sugars in here. Therefore, sugar is really what makes the bulk of this product up. Have you ever considered that our human bodies are simply not designed to consume chemicals, additives, and processed food? Our bodies don't know what to do with these over-refined foods, and as a result, in Australia, we have a high rate of bad health, obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and autoimmune disease. And this is what really needs to change. I believe that we should all be more mindful about what we are putting in our mouths, and I encourage you all to go and do your own research and find your own healthy balance. So, by now you're probably thinking, what's she talking about real food? What does real food mean? Well, I'm here to tell you that real food is really simple food. Real food is food that's grown by nature, or it's something that can be made in your kitchen with food that's grown by nature. Real food is nutrient dense and it supports your health. Real food is the same food that was on the earth when our great-great-great-grandparents were here. Real food is exciting, vibrant, colourful, and I promise you it's delicious. To have a healthy real food lifestyle, I assure you it's not all about eating lettuce leaves, because I don't want to eat like that. A real food day might look like this. These are some recipes from my book. There's an omelette, a taco for lunch, some meatballs for dinner, and a chocolate brownie. Did you see the chocolate brownie? You might be wondering how on earth a chocolate brownie is real food. Well, this amazing chocolate brownie is made with beetroot and cacao and a handful of other real food ingredients. Now, this is a cacao pod. If you grind down the beans in the pod, you make raw cacao powder, which is what the basis of chocolate is made from. And you can make amazing, delicious dishes from a cacao, like this slice, or this brownie, or these bliss balls. Now that doesn't look so boring, does it? Quite the opposite. So why would you spend your money on rubbish like this from the supermarket when you could make beautiful food like this from natural ingredients? Food should not be complicated, so just eat real food. Food should be nutrient dense and not nutrient void. Just eat real food. Food should be enjoyed without guilt. Just keep it real. I think for a happy and healthy life, we should all just eat real food. I hope that you will agree with me that this is an idea worth spreading.